Again, my name is Dan Hendy. I'm the Senior Education Manager at Pennsylvania Rec and Park Society, and I'm also the curator of the Maintenance Institute. We're here with Mike Smith and Kevin Cook from Productive Park Software. And again, the name of our shop talk is Transform Your Maintenance Operations with Maintenance Management Software. Before we get officially started, there are a couple of things I'd like to share with everybody. Logistics for today. This is a Zoom meeting, and your participants will be able to unmute yourselves to ask questions at the end of the webinar. However, when you're not speaking, please mute yourself, as this will minimize background noise. Please use the chat box for your questions during the webinar. I will gently interrupt our host and ask those questions if they're related to the content at the moment. This webinar, as you know already, is being recorded. And it is available for CEUs. If you registered for CEUs, it is approved for 1 hour continuing education credit or zero point 0.1 CEU. At the end of this program, there'll be an online evaluation. We ask that you complete that survey regardless, but especially if you want the CEUs. So my presenters today are both from Productive Park Software. Mike Smith is the co-founder and has over 20 years experience in parks and recreation. His background ranges from IT management to systems analysis and provides him with a deep understanding of the industry's challenges and opportunities. This inspired him to create Productive Park Software, which offers innovative solutions to streaming park maintenance operations. Kevin Cook is also with us today. He's Director of Sales for Productive Parks, bringing nearly 10 years of experience in parks and recreation and another decade in software and technology. With a strong background in both fields, Kevin excels at understanding the unique challenges parks and recreation professionals face. So without further ado, I'm going to stop my share and turn it over to Mike.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dan. We really appreciate you inviting us to be here with you guys. And thank you to all you guys who are attending this. And I just wanted to start out by giving just a couple more details. That was a really nice introduction, Dan. Thank you. Just about what I have seen in the area of parks and recreation and maintenance management software. During my time as assistant, first I worked at one agency running their IT department. Then I became a consultant and would move to different agencies working on different projects, helping them get their systems implemented, mostly in the area of software. And during that time, I had several maintenance directors and supervisors come and ask me and said, can you help us find some software so that we can manage our operations with it? And so together, excuse me, we looked for software, and we could only find either these big, massive software applications that were very complex, did 300 things that they didn't need really for their operations, were very expensive, and required that you have a systems administrator / systems analyst on board, and that didn't really fit their needs. Or we found a whole bunch of simplistic little systems that were just kind of basic work order systems, and those didn't really suit their needs very well either. So I decided to create something that fit their needs, because I saw that there wasn't anything that met just their needs package, kind of no more and no less. So I interviewed all the people that had asked me about this and said, in your dreams, what would be your ideal system if you could, create it just to fit your vision? And so they all told me their slightly varying visions of it. And I created the initial version of the software, and several of them came on board as our initial user group. And they continued giving feedback. And in the years since then, we've been going for 9 years now. We continue to take feedback. Almost all of our customers, probably 95%, are Parks and Rec operations. And so we get their feedback from them and continue additions and modifications and refinements to the software based on their ideas. So it's true that there's a very unique set of needs and a unique perspective that Parks and Recreation maintenance people have on what they're taking care of. And so Productive Parks was designed to take care of that kind of from a two-part approach. Part one would be your day-to-day and week-to-week operations, making sure that all of the work orders that have come in are properly assigned out for people. All of your scheduled maintenance, all of your preventive maintenance, all of these things are properly scheduled out, and you can see how they're being taken care of in essentially real time. And then the other half of it is looking long term and using it as a planning tool. Because if you're using it day to day, you're building all this awesome data, and then you can take that data and report on it to give yourself some really solid information to make, medium and long-term decisions on, up to longer-term asset management for looking 5, 10, or more years into the future, setting up replacement plans, all of those kinds of things. And the data that you're gathering will give you important information about that. So that was the general concept of the design of Productive Parks in particular. Now, a maintenance management system, the acronym is CMMS. There's lots of things that are available. But, again, our perspective is coming from Productive Parks, but we're not here to give a sales presentation. It's more to show you all the things that you can do if you use software of whatever kind to help you manage your operations. And so with that, I'm going to hand the baton over to Kevin Cook, our director of sales, and he's going to step through a kind of like show you some of these concepts using Productive Parks as kind of like the example.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Dan. Thank you, everyone, for having us today. We definitely appreciate this opportunity. As Dan mentioned and Mike mentioned, so I'm our director of sales over here at Productive Parks. Been in Parks and Rec for quite good amount of time here, several years, but been in software for my entire career. And really came on board with Productive Parks. I saw the great value that it brought. But as Mike mentioned, I kind of want to step back, and rather than just talk about Productive Parks, I want to talk about CMMS systems and just how they can benefit parks and recreation in general. Before we get started, I'm kind of curious, and we don't have a poll set up here, but down at the bottom of Zoom, there is a little react button where you can put like thumbs up or hearts or balloons or whatever it might be. If you have a software system today that you're using for maintenance, so any CMMS system, I'm curious if you could just throw some type of reaction in there, whether it's a thumbs up or a heart. I'm just curious who maybe is using something today. We got at least one person using something today, but maybe quite a few. We got a couple, and everyone's finding that react button right now. So I know it might take a second on Zoom, but good. Glad to hear some people are using it. But I know a lot of folks don't. It is kind of in Parks and Rec, it is kind of a newer thing. Folks starting to use CMMS systems. So that's what we wanted to talk today, really about what is a CMMS and what are the benefits of it. So in order to get into that, I'm going to start sharing my screen here. 1 second. Share here. Perfect. And Mike, can you give me a thumbs up? You guys see the screen just fine? Perfect. So really what we want to talk today about is just, how you can unlock efficiency and just operational efficiency with using a CMMS. How I'll go kind of about that today is we'll just talk about what is a CMMS in general. What are the benefits for it for Parks and Rec? I'll give you a little bit of a demo of Productive Parks, more so you can see just how it could operate. Yes, there's other systems out there that can work, but just to show you how Productive Parks and how a CMMS could help your operations. And then we can move into questions, and we're happy to go from there. So really, like, what is a computerized maintenance management system? What is the software? For those who aren't using it today, you're probably doing stuff like paper. Lots of notes, lots of text messages, phone calls, emails. Maybe when things get fancy, you're using Word documents or spreadsheets. But kind of, with paper, it's cheap and easy, but it's pretty inefficient. It's unorganized. It's not a very great filing system, right? when you're relying on these different things. Very easy to lose things. You're not easily able to retrieve records, right? So if if your risk management department or your insurance agency comes and says, "Hey, give us the last 3 months of playground inspections," how easily is that for you to pull up? Is it going into a file cabinet, finding a different binder, finding some form somewhere, or is it simple with other ways that you might be able to do this with a computerized system? You can't get real-time updates with the old way. It's tough to have that. You get a communication breakdown, right? If your staff is out there in the field and they're doing something and finding something's broken, the only way they can get a hold of you is by text or email. Hopefully they get it to you, but there's not this just consistent way of having that communication back and forth about what's going on out there. This can also lead to a lot of missed preventative maintenance and inspections. Right. If you're just relying on a paper schedule or a whiteboard in the conference room, you might not always get to things before they break. Right. You're playing more of a reactive game than a proactive game. Or maybe you miss those inspections that are supposed to be held every week or every few weeks. You kind of lack that solid maintenance plan. Right. You don't have things. It's just a less of a set plan that you have for the year and lose the accountability there. And then last, it's just, it's hard to track your conditions of assets and equipment without some type of filing system or organization, right? To know when things are coming up for replacement, to know when things are breaking more often than they should and should maybe get replaced a little bit sooner. It can be a challenge. And then of course there's the issue of a lot of physical documents take up space. We can see people's offices sometime with just file cabinet after file cabinet after file cabinet of documents that they have from their maintenance work. So just kind of an old process that's getting a little just old, right? And hard to do. And that's where comes a computerized maintenance management system. So this is really, it's your software solution that helps you and helps the agency by centralizing the maintenance information. So it becomes like the communication hub, where the maintenance team can find the work orders, can look at work history, can see inspection reports, can see their schedules for that day, that week, or even months ahead. Can pull up information about assets to know what's kind of getting repaired a lot more often, or what's coming up for replacement based on its useful life, and more. Just all that information is right at your fingertips. CMMS, it's going to incorporate all the information stored in those old file cabinets, right? It's going to take all that old stuff, the paper documents you have, and kind of make it into a more organized way. Rather than just having it drawn out of your head, it gives you that organized, easy to use visual interface. It's going to help you with, team members being able to access relevant resources to plan their workday. If they're out at a park, let's just say they're out mowing and the grass is really long. They want to know, when was the last time this was mowed, because maybe we should start doing this a little bit more often. With the old paper system, that's a very hard thing to do. You might need to make some phone calls or text and figure out, track down who did it last. With the CMMS, you can easily, a couple buttons, you can figure out exactly the last time that lawn was mowed and then suggest that it should be done a little bit more frequently. It helps with the streamlining of tasks and giving you that better efficiency. Now, of course, it doesn't magically solve all the challenges that are out there. It's not gonna go out and mow the lawn for you. It's not gonna, pick up any branches that are down or trees that are down, but it does act as that tool that can help address those pain points and just greatly improve efficiency of these types of tasks. It just gives you some more uniformity. Rather than emails, calls, sticky notes, or other methods, all those requests come through that one centralized hub. So kind of, that's how we're moving away from the old system in with the new, with the computerized systems. Just show you a little bit about the benefits of it. Obviously, we talked about how it can change, but I want to show a little bit about actual, how it can do this. So this is just a little snapshot of what a CMMS might look like to help you with streamlining. So, supervisors can easily schedule jobs for their staff. You can prioritize jobs. You can schedule stuff for individual staff or entire work crews. You can have a crew leader where they're the only ones who's, filling out the paperwork per se, and just have that easily in there. It makes for annual planning a lot easier with recurring jobs. Often 70 or 80% of the work that you do is recurring work. It's something that's done every week, every month, or whatever, frequency it might be. So you can set that all up in the beginning, and it's all in there for the year. You have your annual maintenance plan. And then just as the year is going, you're doing those one-off jobs that need to be done. Staff can easily see their schedules at any time. They can look at their phone, look at their tablet or computer, just pull it up. They know exactly what's going on that day. They know what they have to do tomorrow or next week. They can get notifications that they got a new job. They can get a text or an email saying, hey, you got a new job scheduled for you. Here's a link. Go check it out. CMMS can do inventory planning or project expense tracking. So inventory, actually knowing where inventory levels are of, say, your oil or gas or paper towels or membership cards, whatever it might be, have all that inventory tracking so you easily know what's going on and can order things when you need to. You can track project expenses. So think like, capital expenses, capital projects. You're building a new playground, resurfacing a parking lot, whatever it might be. You easily have reports that show exactly all the work that went into that, how many hours, who did it, and have that budget justification right there. It's going to give you just fewer instances of downtime, fewer instances of equipment failure with, being able to do the inspections on time, getting in front of things, having that more proactive approach than the reactive you might have had before, which will also help with increasing just asset lifespan. You're going to have fewer capital expenditures because of this. And then what we found, sometimes there's some adoption. Sometimes there might be some resistance to technology with staff that are out there. But after they get used to it and start using these, we actually find there's a lot better engagement between, the technicians, the team leaders, the management, just because that communication, it is all streamlined, it's all there, everyone can see it. It's just an easier way of going about it. On the inspection side, a CMMS can really help with organizing and just keeping up with the inspections that you need to do. A system like Productive Parks, but a lot of systems out there, you can have customized inspection templates. So you have a template that's very specific to where you're looking. We know no two parks are created alike, right? Maybe you have one park that is a bunch of ball fields and another one that is a playground and splash pads. You want different inspection templates for those different parks so that when your staff's out there doing it, all they see are the questions and items for that inspection that are related to the actual park they're at, just to make it easier on them, make it more intuitive. And then for you as the manager, just inspections are going to be easier to find and they're always available. If you get that request from risk management or from the insurance company for those inspections for the past 3 months, it takes you 3 clicks, you print them out and you can send them off. Very, very easy to do. With inspections, you can always attach pictures to it for reference or files if you want like a service manual. You can have all that information right there at your fingertips. And then with systems, they're also going to be able to track, the problems with inspections, track it along for audit reasons. So let's say we're out there doing a playground inspection and one of the items is that the slide is broken or to inspect the slide. And we note that the slide has a crack on it. So we note that in the inspection. Well, the system can automatically create a work order for that slide to get fixed. That would get sent off to your supervisor in real time. The supervisor can then go ahead and schedule that work to get out. And that work's always going to be tracked along with that inspection. So you have like an audit trail and reporting of inspection corrections and things that are getting fixed. It just, makes it very much easier, much more intuitive, much more streamlined of a process again.
Hey, Kevin, I have a question, actually. I'm interrupting for my own question. So you said those inspections can be customized, depending on the features of each park. But I'm wondering, can you go deeper, like for different elements of a playground or specific setup of a softball field or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the templates, at least how it works in Productive Parks, and it's not going to be the same in every CMMS, right? On how many templates you can have, and if it's unlimited versus you get so many for what you pay for. But at least how we work is you can have as many templates in there as you want. And then within those templates, you have different sections, like things can be asked kind of like in the NRPA setup where you have like satisfactory, unsatisfactory, not applicable for that area and comments. Or you can have checklists of all the things that you need to get done during that inspection. You can have numerical readings, if you have pumps or if you have pool chemicals that you need to read, you can have those included in there. You can have tasks embedded into inspections. So if this is something that is at that park or at that location or is going to take some more time, you can have that in there. So, for example, one example might be if you as a city have a mandate that anytime you see graffiti, it needs to be cleaned up immediately. Maybe that task is embedded in your inspection so that if there's graffiti there, we know it's going to take you longer to clean up. You can have it in there and go ahead and complete it as part of that inspection as well. But all these templates can be totally customized. We actually, the way that we do it is we help you make these during implementation. So we'll take any templates that you might already have, we'll create them into our system, and then help you kind of modify them specifically to what you want. And then also teach you how to make more and edit them along the way. So yeah, you can definitely get as granular as you want with these, for sure. Cool. The other nice thing, so even outside of, CMMS is helping with those daily operations, right? You're scheduling your staff, you're managing inventory, you're doing your inspections, you're doing all these day-to-day maintenance operations. But all that data is then collected, right? The data from those day-to-day jobs, it's collected and put into different reporting features and different dashboards so that you have other information right at your fingertips. So things like being able to, monitor, say, work hours and costs for jobs. If you want to know, hey, this past summer, how many hours did we spend mowing lawns? You could easily, pull up a report. You can see, all right, we spent 600 hours or whatever it might be mowing lawns this past summer. So next summer, let's go ahead and plan accordingly on our seasonal staff for mowing. All very easy to make those type of decisions. Being able to see asset replacement schedules to see, we know useful life on this piece of equipment is 10 years, or this park we expect to do a major overhaul after 25 years. Have all that information aggregated so that you can pull up a report and know exactly what's coming up for replacement every year and know budget-wise what to plan for. You can have, just other operational costs, being able to compare between, from this park to this park, how many hours are we spending? That's actually what that picture in the slide there is showing. It's a monthly asset report, which is comparing all the different parks and how many hours you're spending at them. So you can easily see, like, that one at the top, I don't know if you can see it, it might be small, but it says Cobblestone Park. They're spending nearly 30% of their time at that one park. And there's 30 parks on this list. So they're spending 30% of our time, of our maintenance time is being spent at one park. And then the other 70% is at the other 29 parks. Like, why are we spending so much time at this one park? You can start to dig into that type of details and figure out what's going on. Maybe you have to do some replacements at that park because things are breaking way too often. So just a lot of great reporting features to help you with, your operational costs, your budget planning, your overall just, maintenance plan and organization. And then all that leads into, helping us avoid what none of us ever want to come to is those maintenance deficits of not having equipment when you need it or not having the money when you need it. Knowing, like I mentioned, knowing what's coming up for replacement several years in advance. That's a little example of this report. I'll show you the actual report as we get into productive parks. But this shows you, those three assets right there. We got a park and a vehicle. It shows us exactly, when it's coming up for replacement, what the expected cost is for replacement. It can even be adjusted for different inflation rates and let you know how to plan accordingly so that, 1 year you're not going up to the budget committee and saying like, hey, we need an extra $5 million this year because this is coming up for replacement. We know that we can't just get that extra money last minute. We need to plan ahead. And that's where a CMMS can really help you prepare in advance, setting aside money each year, before that budget hits, allowing you to avoid that deficit. And without having to go and try to collect more money from the public or having, different funds like that. So a lot of great information right at your fingertips there. This is the last slide kind of on the general overall, CMMS considerations. If you are, looking out there, you're trying to find a good solution for you, there are some questions to kind of think about. Is the software easy to use? Like I mentioned, there can sometimes be some pushback from staff, especially the maintenance staff out there in the field who might be resistant to tech. So try to find those solutions that are really intuitive and easy. We try to make it as easy as possible. You will find with some solutions out there that aren't geared towards Parks and Rec, that are geared more towards, citywide organizations, they can be a lot more cumbersome. They can be a lot more difficult to learn, to use, and you're going to have more pushback in using it. Understanding was there a question there?
Yeah, there is. Kim asked, do you have a template that incorporates the National Park's newer process for viewing maintenance and anticipating climate impact?
Mike, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, no, we don't have that particular template. We have more general templates. I'd be curious to learn more about it. We've not been asked that question before. So I'll actually spend the time to look into that, because we do supply a set of templates for people to use, because some people already have very precise inspections set up and they just want to bring those exact inspections into our software. But other agencies, they don't really know, they need some more guidance. And so we then, excuse me, can help them import these templates to start from and then customize them to their needs.
And then if you look in the chat, there's a further question by Paula. For departments that report through their public works, how does this system, streamline into their system?
Right. So it would be very much a case-by-case basis on what system they use. Sometimes there's options for integration, but a lot of times softwares might not talk with each other. But what we find, so we come across this all the time, where Public Works has a software that they want everyone to use, or the city has a software that they're rolling out and they want everyone to use. And what often happens, the Parks and Rec department or organization might be required to use it at the time. What often happens is after a year or so, they find that it just doesn't work for them, that it does not work for Parks and Rec like it does for Public Works or for the city. And then they come to, say, Productive Parks or another organization and trying to figure out of what can really work for Parks and Rec. But we come across that all the time. As far as the, talking back and forth, that's something that's more on a case-by-case basis, really, that we'd have to go into. Cool. Just a couple other things here really to consider when evaluating CMMS platforms, understanding if they really know your industry, right? Do they know Parks and Rec, or is it more of a broad system? Something that works for manufacturing in a warehouse probably isn't going to work the same for Parks and Rec. Or something that's really going citywide and is incorporating a whole lot of different agencies might be more difficult than what you would want, right? Not quite as intuitive for your staff or streamlined for Parks and Rec. So just understanding that. It's always important to know what the implementation process is going to look like. Are you just going to be handed a blank piece of software and some instructions and say good luck? Or is it a company going to do a lot of, hand holding and really get you built up? Are they going to put things in there for you? Or are you all on your own for the training and learning on your own? And just what your support will be like afterwards. So we find this varies widely between different companies on, is support included? Do you get all the help that you need? Is support extra? Do you have to pay a yearly fee just to get some support from the company? Or is it, is it every time you call, you get charged a fee for that? So it's definitely going to be different across the different companies you talk about. So there's just good things to keep in mind. With that, I would like to maybe switch over and just kind of go a little brief overview of Productive Parks. I know we talked about CMMS in general. Before I move on, was there any other questions just about CMMS in general and that was in the chat or anything?
I don't see anything in the chat except the two that we already asked, but people are free to either add more questions or you could use a minute right now to just unmute yourself and go ahead. All right, seeing none, I guess.
Well, feel free to unmute yourself at any time and interrupt. Always appreciate good questions in here. So, So we talked about CMMSs and kind of what they can do. I want to show an example of one just so you can see, a little bit more in depth about what a CMMS could do for you. I'm going to show you more about Productive Parks. I'm gonna do 2 more slides here and then actually go into the software just so you can see it and get a good example of what one of these products can be. Like Mike gave the story in the beginning for sure, but Productive Parks, we really are the first and only maintenance management system truly designed by Parks and Recreation professionals for Parks and Recreational professionals. So when I say that, I mean, yes, of course, there are other systems out there that have work order features, inspection features, and so forth, but none of them are truly focused on Parks and Rec like we are. 100% of our customer base is Parks and Rec facilities or related. Our creators, so Mike and his partner, both have 20, 25 plus years experience in Parks and Rec, and saw the need for something better. When they started looking for software options out there, yeah, they found some other solutions out there, but they weren't built for Parks and Rec. They didn't have the right features, or they had too many features that, quite frankly, it just confused people and made things more expensive. So it wasn't the right solution, and that's where we came about. The other really nice thing about it is all of the new features that we come out in our software are based on customer feedback. And if 100% of our customers are Parks and Rec customers, that means the stuff that we're getting recommended is all stuff that could absolutely benefit you as well, being in Parks and Rec. So a little bit about how we're built. We are cloud-based. So that means there's no servers, nothing you need to store on your end, no heavy lift for IT. Really, it's just an internet platform. It's cloud-based with stored, data stored in the US, and it's your data. If you ever need to pull it off, you can. It's absolutely 100% yours. It's also not it's not like a cell phone plan where you get 5 gigabytes of data and then you got to upgrade to the next plan. It's nothing like that. All your data is in there. It's all the same. It's unlimited amount. So that's kind of how it's set up. And then from there, the system is kind of separated into 2 parts, right? At least that's how I view it. 2 different parts of the system is you have your day-to-day operations. So think, doing jobs out in the field, doing the work orders, doing inspections, scheduling staff, all those day-to-day routine maintenance operations that you might have. But then all that data is collected and feeds the other side of the system. So the more strategic and reporting and information-based side that management will probably get a lot of use out of. So being able to pull up those reports about how many hours you're spending doing different types of work, getting that information about assets, knowing your inventory levels, and just having that, all that information at your fingertips. And then last from us, we do provide lifetime support. It's all included. We don't charge extra for needing some help. Our support team is just a phone call or an email or chat message away. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing these slides. I'm going to move into the software. As I do that, feel free. You can come off and ask any questions or anything like that.
Kevin, there's actually a question in the chat. Kathy Dunn asked, can anyone log in for a work order to be created in any department? So I guess, can you send a work order that you see in a park up to the DPW if it's a power line or something like that?
Yeah, so how we're set up is any employee can have access to our work request portal. So anyone can request a work order, put in a work request. We don't have a public interface, so you can't have just general public have a login into here. However, if you do have some type of open 311 system, there is the potential for integration there if you want that public interface. And then as far as being able to send work orders to other departments, so if there's a couple options there. They could be a user in Productive Parks where you can send it directly within the software to them, or you can always print out a work order and email it off to a different department if you need to. Hopefully that answered your question. But, so this is Productive Parks. So I am logged into Productive Parks here as a supervisor or as an administrator, just so you can see that view. Kind of a little overview of what we see here. I mean, you see your staff listed out here on the left-hand side. And you see their week at a glance over here at the right-hand side. And you can hover over any one of these and kind of see, a real quick snippet of what they had scheduled, what they completed. And of course, you click in the box, you can see more information. But, we can look in today, and most people have completed one job already. And then once all the jobs for that day get completed, it turns green. Just try to make that easy, intuitive, switch over so you can see things at a glance. You can have it set up that you have, multi levels of, like management. So if you have, say, a facilities manager, maybe they have just their facilities staff listed here. But then you have an admin who is, kind of the director of everyone who could see all staff. And there's even ways to toggle back and forth between if you have maybe you have a golf course or a cemetery that you manage as part of Parks and Rec. You could toggle back and forth between those accounts as well. The system also is set up to give you some alerts up here on the top, these little red numbers that you see. So these are telling, hey, there's 4 new work requests that have come in. Maybe you should check these out. Someone's requesting some work to be done. You can take a look at these and go ahead and assign that work out. 3 new inspections have come in. Someone's completed an inspection, and there it is for you to go ahead and sign off and approve. You can have it set up. It's very customizable. You can have it set up that you have to approve every inspection. You can have it set up that you don't, that it's automatic, or that you only have to approve the ones that have issues. So it's very, it's very customizable there. We've had, agencies with 50 trucks in their fleet, and they did a daily morning inspection of every truck. And the supervisor certainly did not want 50 inspections in his inbox every morning that he needed to approve. He just wanted to know which ones had an issue. And so you can set it up that way. Outstanding jobs. These are, these aren't like special jobs to call them outstanding. They're outstanding because they're late. These are outstanding jobs that they should have been done and they aren't done. So an example might be if we look at Ben here, you look at yesterday, he only completed 2 out of his 3 jobs. So that 3rd job would be considered an outstanding job. And if we click that, we'll just see a list of all those outstanding jobs if we wanted to. Scheduled series, these are recurring jobs. So, a lot of times agencies will set up kind of their annual maintenance plan right up front because so much of it is recurring. They set those up front. Maybe they put an expiration date on it of 6 months or a year out. And this is just letting me know that, hey, one of those scheduled series is coming up for expiration. Maybe you want to take a look at it and extend it out, whatever it might be. Bucket tasks. This is a really creative feature in the system. It was added by request of some agencies as a way to create jobs that you don't necessarily assign to people yet. It's used in a lot of different ways. So one example might be it's just those things that aren't super high priority, but you want done, like your scratch pad of things you want done, but you're not going to sign out yet. So maybe you put in there, we want to repaint this fence and we want it done before Thanksgiving. We put that in the bucket. We put a date of November 28th or whatever it might be. And then one day, maybe if Bam Bam's out doing some work and, he finishes everything he needs to do before lunch, he's got a few hours to kill still, he can go ahead, go into that bucket, pull a job off, assign it to himself and go take care of it. Or you can have weekend buckets. You can have your own personal bucket. You can have as many of these as you want and assign different people to them. So it's used in a lot of different ways. That's kind of the overview here. I'll just show you a little bit about if I go into like Bam Bam, get a little bit more detail about what he's got going on today. There we can see kind of, what he's already completed today. We can see what's on his schedule for the day. You can see he's on this big work crew for a job at a couple parks. He's got some mowing he's doing in an athletic field. He's got no outstanding jobs. And then if we wanted to assign something new, we could do that over here for him. So that's just a little overview there. Showing other things that are in the system here. If we wanted to create a new work request, you can do that straight from this area. We do categorize different things. Anytime in this system we have categories or drop downs, they're totally custom to you guys and we help you set it up. So for example, maybe a work types you have outdoor, indoor, facilities, gym, whatever it might be. We could have those categories in here. And based on what you choose, that work request can be routed to different managers and to different people. Maybe whoever the facilities manager is gets that work request. But super easy to do. All throughout the system, we have areas where you can select your assets. So all your assets will be listed in here. For example, if I hit parks, we're going to see all of our parks here. And of course, this is going to be custom to the agency. Same with the categorization here. It might be different than equipment, facilities, rec center, so forth. And you can get more granular too. So if we have Rock Vegas Park, we could click on it and we can see everything that's at Rock Vegas Park. We got some soccer fields, we got some playgrounds, and we got some restrooms and buildings. We can get as granular as we want, even down to every picnic table or sink or restroom, however you'd like to do that. We have the inspection area on here, so we can always see those new inspections. It's saying, hey, these 3 new inspections have come in. We can go ahead and open one of them as just an example. You can see this one did have some problems. There was some things found in that inspection, and it created a work order automatically for that issue to go ahead and get resolved, that we could go ahead and assign out to someone. If it didn't have a problem, it would be in green. You know, we do color code these. You can see one in green. It has no issues on this inspection. Everything checked out fine, and we could just go ahead and give it that final approval, and it gets kicked off of our new inspection list. So we try to make it, again, intuitive, easy to use. There are different dashboards here, so we can see information about our assets, our inventory, our equipment. I'll just show you one as an example. I want to show you an asset page, what it might look like. I'm going to pick our Bedrock Park here and just show you what an asset page might be. So if I look at this particular asset, I could pull it up for Bedrock Park. We can have a little map of where it's at. We can put files in here. So you see, like, this one has a park layout PDF in there. We can have any type of file. So it could be service manual, irrigation map, whatever you wanted. You could have multiple files in here. We can see the inspection history for Bedrock if we wanted to go back to any of those inspections. So like I mentioned, very organized, easy to pull up. We can see task history, so the last couple jobs that have been done there, and any upcoming jobs as well, upcoming jobs that are happening at this particular asset. Again, all nice and organized in one spot. Inventory levels, like I mentioned, you can track inventory. You know, you can know exactly how much is in stock at any spot and get automatic notifications about reordering. As long as your staff is actually saying that they're using up inventory, this will track. Of course, the data is only as good as the person putting in that they are using the inventory, right? We can classify our different assets between, you know, large equipment, small equipment, fixed equipment, fleet. You know, think maybe you have large equipment, be like your Bobcats, your forklifts, things of that nature. Small equipment, mowers, blowers, so forth. Fixed HVAC, pumps, pool equipment, whatever it might be. Fleet, you got trucks. We can pull up any one of these and we can see all the information about that fleet. So we can see, you know, year, make, model, license, VIN, all that information in one spot. Know how many miles or hours are on that piece of equipment. Again, nice and organized. We can kind of look at budget information, what replacement dates are, lifespan, original cost, so forth, and see when things are coming up for replacement. Let's see. The last little area I want to show here before I show you just one last section in this admin dashboard is our reporting area. We have a whole lot of different reports that you can pull up on this in the CMMS, in Productive Parks. There's some here that are just our most commonly used one. Maybe you want to know what everyone did yesterday or what everyone did last month, or maybe just what one particular staff member did last month. One I want to just show is this replacement schedule. So I think this is a really cool report for admins. Is this what it's showing is here's all of our assets listed out, and it's going to give you that budget info. So here's, you know, purchase date, lifespan, expected lifespan, replacement date, original cost info, what the expected replacement cost is, and so forth, all the different cost info. We can actually see that by year as well. So we can see the next 20 years here listed out, and we can look at this and be like, wow, okay, in 2030, we got $3 million worth of stuff coming up for replacement. And if I click on that, I can see exactly what it is. And we can see there's looks like some major pool stuff happening in 2030, right? Some major pool updates and pool repairs. Well, we know we can't just go to the city in 2029 and ask for an extra $3 million on top of all of our budget items, other budget items. We need to plan accordingly. So the system is actually saying, all right, if we need $3 million by 2030, well, you got to put $527,000 aside each year between now and then at this particular inflation rate, so that in 2030 you have that money for this replacement. So it's not a report that you're going to use every day by any means, but that time of year when you're doing that budget planning, this report can just save a ton of time and having to look through all your different asset information. One last thing, I've been showing this this admin dashboard, what the admins, the supervisors, what everyone sees, but what about the staff actually out in the field? There is a lot in here. It could get confusing. We try to make it for those out in the field doing the work as as super easy and intuitive as possible. And what that might look like for them is this. I'm just logging into one particular employee, Bam Bam. I'm also going to make this a little bit smaller. Let's pretend we're out on a phone. So this might be what it looks like. When I log in as Bam Bam, I'm just going to see the important stuff that he needs to see. So here it's logging into today. Of course, I could switch the day if I wanted to. He's got his jobs here. He's got some stuff that's kind of in progress. That's what that color means. He's got some mowing that he's got to do here over at, it says it's a soccer field at Rock Vegas Park. He's got to go mow. He can see if he has any outstanding jobs. And you can see any previous jobs he's done. Now, it's super easy for them to complete a job. All they have to do is they open it up. Here's the information about it. If he wants to see that asset page, he could click up here. This would go show him that same map and the different information about, history of that particular asset. That's where he could easily see when the last time this was mowed, type of example. But all he needs to do to complete the job is switch this from assigned to completed, put how long he spent. Maybe he spent an hour and 45 minutes, and then he can scroll down and hit save. Now there's some other things in here. Yeah, you can, if you use up some inventory, or if you use, if you want to track what particular mower he used to put hours on it, or send a note to the supervisor, he can do that. But that's all he needs to do really, is put in the hours that it got completed, hit save. It'll take it back to his main page. It'll turn this job green, so easy tracking, and it's done. Other things Bam Bam could do, he could, if he wanted to, he could create a job for himself. Maybe he's out mowing one park and he sees another one that needs to be done. He could create a job. He can create a work request. Maybe he's out mowing that soccer field and one of the big light poles is broken and Bam Bam is not trained to do anything electrical. He could create that work request to get done, and it'll get routed to the supervisor in real time. And he can look at some basic reports. So again, we try to make it very easy on the staff that's out there.
Hey, Kevin, before you take off from that, I just wanted to mention that if you click on the right below, if you close that, the hamburger menu, below where it says Wednesday 9/25, there's the link. There are several applications for program registration / facility booking that we have an API connection to. So if Bam Bam is looking at this task and says, well, I need to go out to Bedrock Park, but I want to see what's going on out there today. He can click that icon and it pulls up a list of the schedule of all events that are in your program registration / facility booking system. And he can see the schedule and decide maybe he wants to start at one end of the park or he wants to wait until 10:30 or whatever it might be.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Mike. That is something that's very unique to our system, is the integrations with different program reservation and booking platforms. So that really is Productive Parks. Very quick overview. Of course, if anyone wants to see more, I'm happy to do that. Schedule time with folks and give a little bit more detail. But just want to open up if there's any questions about Productive Parks or about CMMS systems in general and how they can help maintenance organizations or so forth. It looks like we got everything done from the chat.
I do have a follow-up, and I know you guys both work for Productive Parks, so thank you for that. But the regular other CMMS services also offer similar type of programming and software use, right?
Correct. Yes, there are other systems out there, of course. We are one of the only, if not the only, that focuses 100% on Parks and Rec. But yes, of course, there are other systems. I'm sure the folks that raised their hand earlier that they're using something are probably using something different. And there are systems that are work with a lot of cities and other departments as well. So, but there are a ton of CMMS options out there.
Right. Yeah, because it's a growing field, and as more and more people get used to the technology, the efficiencies become obvious. So I think that's very important. Daniel had a question. He's curious, have many university campuses used this software?
Yeah, so not university campuses yet. I know that they can absolutely operate very similar to a Parks and Rec agency with different parks and fields and so forth. We do have school districts that have used it. So not university, but K through 12, where they're managing their parks or playgrounds or different school recreation facilities.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Well, I'd like to take a moment to thank you all for coming and also to thank our guests, Kevin and Mike, for their presentation on the systems. Here's their email addresses, is very out front. Mike at productiveparks.com, Kevin at productiveparks.com. This QR code will take you right to their website if you are more interested in Productive Parks. There will be a survey to launch here as soon as I can pull it up. There you go. You should be seeing the survey on your screen. Please take that survey evaluation, especially if you're seeking the CEUs. We need your feedback for that. So go ahead and fill out that survey. And in the meantime, I'll again open this up. And Kevin or Mike, would you have any final words for everyone?
Just, appreciation for you guys for coming to this and, going through this process of looking at CMMSs and seeing how they can work in the Parks and Rec field. We feel obviously very strongly that they're a huge benefit to the Parks and Rec world that really hasn't been taken advantage of that much yet. So we see it as something that's growing, and hopefully you guys learned some things today that might make you interested to dive more deeply into that world of using computerized maintenance management. So thank you again.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Again, just echo that. Thank you, everyone. And by all means, if there's any questions, whether it's about Productive Parks or just CMMS systems in general, please feel free to reach out at any time.
Yeah,
Please.
I feel like I know a lot more about it than I did. So this is great. And are you exhibiting anywhere? Are you going to be at NRPA this fall?
Yes, we will be there in whatever 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah,
We're down
So
to.
I'll-
So yes,
I will
we
look
will.
for you guys there. And
Please.
probably drop off some Maintenance Institute stuff for you.
That'd be great. Yeah, stop by and we could meet in person. And any of
Yeah.
you here that are going to the NRPA conference will be. I don't have our booth number memorized, unfortunately, right now, but we will be there, and we'd love to meet you in person.
Okay. All right, everyone. Again, the QR code is up on the screen. Thank you to Mike and Kevin for your presentation. And I want everybody to have a great afternoon. And we're going to sign off.
Thanks, everybody.